What is going on? This is Tyler Smith with Intrinsicus, back for episode 17. It's been 13 days since I uploaded. Guys, I think you guys know me already. I'm inconsistent. I kind of just go throughout life and I go, ooh, I'm going to talk about this. Ooh, I'm going to talk about that. I don't want this going too long, but again, we're going to be talking about Kahil Gibran. Last time we talked about on pain. You know, your pain is the breaking the shell that encloses your understanding, right? That great piece of art. Now we're going to be talking about on joy and sorrow. Same type of concept, and we'll read it through, kind of go back line by line, connect to stuff nowadays, and hopefully you guys will like, share, comment, and subscribe, and tell your friends about this so you guys can have better conversations. We can be more intrinsically minded, look inwardly instead of outwardly. So here we go. Your joy is your sorrow unmasked, and the self-same well from which your laughter rises was oftentimes filled with your tears. And how else can it be? The deeper that sorrow carves into your being, the more joy you can contain. Is not the cup that holds your wine the very cup that was burned in the potter's oven? And is not the lute that soothes your spirit the very wood that was hollowed with knives? When you're joyous, when you are joyous, look deep in your heart, and you shall find it is only that which has... Hold on one second, guys. I apologize. When you are joyous, look deep in your heart, and you shall find it is only that which has given you sorrow that has given you joy. When you are sorrowful, look again in your heart, and you shall see that in truth you are weeping for that which has been your delight. Some of us say joy is greater than sorrow, and others say, nay, sorrow is the greater. But I say unto you, they are inseparable. Together they come, and when one sits alone with you at your board, remember that the other is asleep upon your bed. Verily, you are suspended like scales between your sorrow and your joy. Only when you are empty are you at standstill and balanced. When the treasure keeper lifts you to weigh his gold and his silver, needs must your joy or your sorrow rise or fall. Now, that sounds kind of weird. Again, very old English. This is not modern English by no means. So please bear with me as we kind of go through this again. It's going to sound pretty weird, but this is kind of what we're dealing with right now. It's old school English with old school minded people. So let's kind of go back over this again. Generally, what you're going to see throughout this kind of thing is that to know joy, you must know pain, right? Like you can't enjoy the sun if you don't have the night. The night is always darkest before day. All these different things, right? To be happy, you must be sad, and to know sadness, you must know what happiness is. Right? That's kind of the same concept we saw throughout on pain. So let's kind of go through this again and let's see how this works. So your joy is your sorrow unmasked, and the self-same well from which your laughter rises was often filled with your tears. And how else can it be? All right, so stop. Let's break that down. Your joy is your sorrow unmasked, right? So that one, take it or leave it. It can mean a lot of different things, but saying your sorrow unmasked, taking the facade away, is your joy, right? And the self-same well from which your laughter rises will oftentimes filled with your tears. So that same pit in your soul that your joy and your laughter comes from, let's not forget that when you're sad, your tears and your sadness goes into that as well. So your soul inside, if you believe in souls, your soul, your electrical being inside your body, it holds the same joy and sorrow. It is you, right? So the same deepness within you, from where you hold trauma, sadness, depression. When you had those good-hearted laughs from deep in your belly, that comes from the same place. And how else can it be? The deeper the sorrow carves into your being, the more joy you can contain. Now, this is kind of where we say the night is darkest before dawn, right? To To know the sun, you must know the night. To appreciate the sun's warmth, you must feel the cold night. So the more that you experience, the more things that hurt you, right? I just call it experience. The more you experience, the more you've been hurt, the more you can enjoy the goodness, right? So let's say you're a skateboarder. The more you fall, the more you scrape your knees, or just, the more you break your skateboard, and that one time you land a trick and like your body tingles and you're happy. Same thing with ice skaters. You fall, you hit the ice, you hit the ice, you hit the ice. For soccer guys, or soccer gals, you miss the goal, you miss the juggling with your feet, you can't juggle. You lose a game, you lose a game, you lose a game. Football players, you drop the ball, you drop the ball, you drop the ball, you drop the ball, you can't catch the ball. And also, the one time you do catch the ball for a touchdown, you are overflowing with happiness. That is what it means. The deeper that sorrow carves into your being, the more joy you can contain, right? So the more experience you have with failure, when you finally do get it, you're happy. Then going on, is not the cup that holds your wine the very cup that was burned in the potter's oven? So kind of the same, right? So the cup that was burned in the potter's oven. So potter's oven, it's hot, it hurts. If you're put inside of it, it hurts, right? If it'd be burned. But being hot, hardening, drying, that process is not it's not easy. Listen to chemistry and how it works. But this external pressure, external energy, external force via the flame, spreading heat and everything, taking this piece of clay and hardening it and sealing it and everything like that. And then through all that effort and energy put out, it now holds the wine that you enjoy. So we can look at that in life, like all the external pressures in life, everything you've been through, all the ups, all the downs, all that stuff gives you this wine cup that you can sit back and, when you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, or even in your 80s, you can sit back and drink from this and say, wow, look at all the things I've been through. And is not the lute that soothes your spirit the very wood that was hollowed with knives? So lute is a musical instrument. Again, that just kind of shows how old this stuff is. Again, the lute being a musical instrument, because it's carved from wood. It's carved from wood or hollowed out with knives, right? So again, external pressure, external forces. A knife is sharp, a knife is dangerous, but essentially this knife is cutting away the wood. But through the cutting, through what seems like destruction, which it is, you're destroying a tree. You take a tree, you cut it down, now you have like this little tiny log or this chunk of wood, and here you are just destroying it with this knife, destroying it, cutting away. Again, once you cut the tree down, it's never going to regrow. You're just cutting away wood, cut. But then it turns into this musical instrument that soothes your spirit and spreads happiness. So again, we need to kind of go through that potter's oven process. We need to be destroyed. We need to be knocked down. We need to be rebuilt. We need to be transformed. And through that transformation, it's painful. It hurts. A lot of us don't understand it, but it turns out to be something beautiful at the end. Let's see. When you are joyous, look deep into your heart, and you shall find it is only that which has given you sorrow that has given you joy. Again, really, really odd English, not 21st century 2022, August 24th English. So bear with me as I stumble over these words. But when you are joyous, look deep into your heart, and you shall find it is only that which has given you sorrow that has given you joy. Again, third, fourth line, the same thing. What actually hurts you is giving you, it's going to give you joy. If you're a skateboarder, the hurt of failing, not getting first place, not being on the podium, or if you're an Olympic athlete, not getting on the podium, if you're an athlete, not getting sponsorship, all these things that hurt you. If you're a music artist, putting out things that haven't went platinum, or you're not getting gigs. For me, I have one subscriber on Rumble. If I was more superficial, not succeeding here would cause me sorrow, but eventually when I get 100, then 1,000, then 100,000 subscribers, then I'll be happy, right? So that's kind of what it's going to. When you are sorrowful, look again in your heart, and you shall see that in truth you are weeping for which has brought you delight. So I'm going to say it again. when you are sorrowful, look again in your heart, and you shall see that in truth you are weeping for that which has been your delight. So now when something that gives you happiness is taken away, that's what you're weeping for. Or knowing what could give you happiness is not there. That hole it's causing this pain. It's causing this sorrow. So again, once you hit that point where you are sorrowful, look inside and you'll see that in truth you are weeping for that which has been your delight. Moving forward, some of you say joy is greater than sorrow, and others say nay, sorrow is the greater. But I say unto you, they are inseparable. Together they come, and when one sits alone with you at your headboard, meaning your bed, remember that the other is asleep upon your bed. So this can be taken any way, right? So sorrow can be at your board while joy is sleeping in bed with you. Joy can be at your board while sorrow is sleeping in bed. All that's saying is, throughout life, joy and sorrow is the same thing. They both cause emotions. Now, obviously, the emotions you feel are different, but they're inseparable. They come together. Again, as the sun comes up, so must the moon. As the stars come out, so must the sun. These things always happen. It's cyclical. Take it for what it is. All right, moving on. Verily, you are suspended like scales between your sorrow and your joy. Only when you are empty are you at standstill and balance. Now this is where we're going to change it up a little bit, right? So verily, you are suspended like scales between your sorrow and your joy. So scales, right? Tipping scales, scales of justice, all that stuff like that. You're constantly trying to be balanced between sorrow and joy, and only when you're empty are you at standstill and balance. So if you're joyful, obviously that side of the scale is going to dip. And then sorrow is going to go up because obviously sorrow is not weighing as much, and then vice versa. Scale, we have more sorrow, that's going to sink down, and your joy is going to come up because again you don't have the joy is not weighing as much. But when you're empty, when there's nothing going inside of you, is your mental state at standstill and balance. Now, you can take that for a lot of things, right? If you are if you're a stoic, then you want to be balanced, but that part I'll leave to you for what you want to say that it is. Okay, here we go. Last line. When the treasure keeper lifts you to weigh his gold and his silver, needs must of your joy or your sorrow rise or fall. Say it again. When the treasure keeper lifts you to weigh his gold and silver, needs must your joy or your sorrow rise or fall. And I'm not going to comment on that one. I want you guys to think about that and what that means to you and what it could mean. I want you to go talk to your parents, your brothers, your sisters, your friends about that line on top of everything else in this poem or short writing and come to a conclusion what you mean. So now, Tyler, bring this to reality. You just read a poem from a dude who wrote this in the 1800s and it doesn't have the new slang. He's not getting jiggy with it. We don't know what the hell you just said. Can you explain it to us? Yes, I can, and yes, I will. So, we have a lot of people in society who can't handle the joy or the sorrow. The joy goes to their head, and their sorrow depresses them to a point where they desire affection on social media. We have people who had never been through anything, so they don't they're happy, but they don't know they're happy because they haven't experienced any hardship. And then the minute they experience any discomfort, they believe that's extreme hardship, and they believe that's the knife cutting the wood to make them to a loot when it's really not. You kind of see it in the social justice warriors, right? On both sides, right? On the left and the right. America and the West has been prosperous for way too long. And I think that's a good thing. I'm happy that in America and the West has been prosperous. But what has happened is that our younger generations haven't felt hardship. They haven't had to work like our forefathers and yester generations. So they kind of meander throughout life. And then they say words are violence, silence is violence. So again, I don't know how that could be. I don't know how silence and words both can be violence, but okay. They say all these things that don't make sense, and then they go like, "You're hurting my feelings," and you can see all these things from Steven Crowder, where the person goes like, "You're on our campus," and you're inciting violence in your blah 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 blah. Like you're being inflammatory. Again, these people have never felt true sorrow. Some of these people have death of family, death of dogs, right? But they never had to feel sorrow. They never had to look in the mirror and say, because of my failures, I am in this position of life, and now I got to climb my way out. Luckily for me, I made a lot of mistakes in my early 20s. It caused me to look in the mirror. Granted, there's suicidal ideations. Cause like I got low. I got low. I got really low in life. I was like, I made a lot of mistakes. I messed up. But through that, and the sorrow, and the crying, and the drinking myself to sleep, every day I climbed a little bit higher out of that well, right? Out of that self-same well from which my laughter rises was often filled with my tears, right? So the same well that had all the tears and the depression and the suicidal ideations, I climbed out of it. The well dried up. Now there's laughter, and now I'm a smarter person. I'm wiser. I can pass on these. I can pass on these stories. I can pass on these lessons to other people and say, hey, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. Just keep working. Now, for some people, again, sometimes when you roll the dice, you get snake eyes and you get the short end of the stick. But outside the small percentage of people who get the short end of the stick, because of nothing of their fault, right? Outside people like that, people who can climb their way out tend to be the best, smarter people, and people who can't tend not to be. So I don't want to make this too long. This is going to be a little bit shorter. I just want to say that when you are looking at people who say violence, this is violence, that's violence, or like, hey, I'm offended, or you're offended, or these people who go on Twitter, again, the left cuckoo heads and the right cuckoo heads, north, south, up, down, east, and west. Look, all the fringes are cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Everyone is, right? So when you see these people, don't be so judgmental. Don't be quick to pull out a judgment card. Don't be quick to belittle someone, right? You also you understand it's like a lot of these younger generations, they have never felt true sorrow. They have had helicopter parents. They have had these parents who have coddled them and coddled them and coddled them. And now you have colleges and high schools who coddle people. The military is starting to coddle people, right? We're coddling to people's emotions so that they're not upset. And we're like, mental health. But we have went so far in the mental health direction that we say people shouldn't feel anguish, people shouldn't feel sadness and depression. And granted, there's clinical depression, right, which is the hormones and chemicals being out of whack. But like we have went to this mental health area where we're like we want to protect people so much that we have taken the ability for them to feel sorrow. We have taken away for the deeper that sorrow caves into your being, the more joy you can contain, right? We have taken that away from these younger generations of no fault of their own. Again, it is these 16, 17, 18, 20, 22, 23, 30, 28-year-old, 30-year-olds, through no fault of their own. I'm going to say it again, through no fault of their own. They have been birthed into a society that has said, we will take away everything that hurts. We will take away the knives that hollows out the wood. We're going to take away the oven, we're going to take away the potter's oven that's going to burn the cup that you will one day drink wine out of. We're going to take all that away from you and try to make you as happy as possible. But by you, parents, I'm sidetracking for a second, by you parents always trying to make sure your kids are happy, college professors, by you always trying to make sure that your kids that your students feel safe and happy, high school teachers, by you always trying to make sure your kids feel safe and happy, you have taken away the very instruments for them to learn critical life lessons. You have taken away the ability for them to feel hurt, for them to feel embarrassment, for them to feel nerdy and cheeky and kind of get the rosy cheeks from embarrassment. You have taken that away from them. You have taken away their ability to fall from a jungle gym, for them to scrape their knees, for them to break an arm. I broke my arm in the second grade. Guess what? I broke my right arm in the second grade, and my right arm is still my strong arm. Well, I'm ambidextrous, but I'm right-handed dominant. So I'm like 60-40 right to left, but I can do both things in left and right hand. And I broke my arm in the second grade, and I had to switch to the left for a lot of things. But guess what? My right side is still stronger than my left. We have taken away these things we've had parents who become managers and not parents. This has destroyed us. This has destroyed our generation. And God forbid if China or Russia gets aggressive towards the United States. God forbid if North Korea or Iran or AQ or ISIS really gets aggressive towards the United States. God forbid us. God help us if that happens. Because we have made the last 3 generations so soft through no fault of the generation's self, through no fault of their own. They were birthed into a padded environment, and they were never taught to learn pain, how to manage their sorrow, and how to get stronger from it. And now those same people from 3 generations, the same my generation, they're now old enough to be managers. They're CEOs. They're in the C-suite. They're in the board of directors of these smaller companies. Obviously not companies like Johnson & Johnson and these older companies, but if these newer companies, again, they're on the board of directors. They're in the C-suite. There are the vice presidents, the presidents, the senior managers, the regional managers. My generation's it, and they were coddled. My generation was coddled. My generation was made sure there was fluffy clouds everywhere. And what do? They go to these environments and they make it even more soft for the next generation. And then now the next generation after my generation, they're the supervisors. They're the local managers. And what are they doing? They're making it even softer for the generation after them. Through no fault of their own, we have a mentally weak society, and we have went so far in mental health that we actually became mentally weak. So guys, on joy and sorrow. For you, just like the last episode on pain, your pain is the breaking of the shell that encloses your understanding. And for this, the self-same well from which your laughter rises was oftentimes filled with your tears. It's all connected. Stop judging these younger guys. Go out, teach them. Teach them that it's okay to feel pain. Let them scrape their knees and look them in the face and say, "Hey, are you all right?" They go, "Yeah." Okay, stand up. And they're gonna be like, "I'm afraid to do that again." Just do it again. And they're gonna fall. And they're gonna scrape their other knee. And they're gonna be like, "I just scraped both my knees." Look them in the face. Stick out a hand and an olive branch, help them up and say, "It's okay, do it again." And then eventually, after a couple times, they're going to fall and scrape their knee, and they're going to be like, whatever. This is how we can make our culture better. And we'll leave it there. This is Tyler Smith with Intrinsicus, signing off. Make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe. See you next time.